Welcome to EduWiz. So today we are going to discuss some clinical cases. So before going into clinical cases, let me give you a brief idea about the examination. So as we all know, there are several examinations which include MOH, DHA and heart. So these are the pharmacist licensing examination for the UAE Emirates, and apart from this we also have the prometric examinations which is for Qatar, Oman, Saudi and Bahrain. So we mainly provide entrance coaching for all healthcare professionals in different specialized field. So when it comes to pharmacy, I will be handling the pharmacy classes. So again, for all the pharmacy graduates who have completed their degree in D.Pharm, that is Diploma in Pharmacy, then we have B.Pharm, that is Bachelors of Pharmacy, then we have M.Pharm, that is Masters of Pharmacy, and finally we have Pharm D, which is Doctor of Pharmacy. So today I am going to again present some cases which will be probably coming for your entrance examinations. So we will be discussing some main topics and also some few cases. Okay. So when it comes to your examination, most of the students have a feedback that the questions are confusing. So we are going to practice some questions and we are going to prepare or just create some strategies that will help you to clear your examinations. So again, we are going to discuss these topics according to topic wises. So today I will be discussing few cases related to pharmacology, that is general pharmacology, some calculations as well. Okay, so we will start with some cases. So let us start with the first case. So we will see what it is. Okay, so we have a case that is an 18-year-old female patient is brought to the emergency department due to the drug overdose. Which of the following routes of administration is the most desirable for administering the antidote for the drug overdose? So as you can see, we have a 18-year-old female patient. Again, she is admitted to the emergency department for a drug overdose. I hope you are most familiar with toxicology. So we know that it is an emergency case, right? Again, she is admitted to emergency room. So the question is, it's a direct question again. Which of the following routes of administration is the most desirable for administering the antidote for drug overdose? So we have learned a lot of antidotes, right? For each of drug poisoning, we have separate antidotes, and again we have several routes of administration. But again, when you read the question is which is the most desirable, that is, which is the best route of administration for this patient. So let us see what are the options. Okay, so again we have mainly 5 options. Okay, so first A is intramuscular, then we have B, that is subcutaneous, and again we have the third option, that is transdermal, again C we have oral, and final option is intravenous. So let us filter these. Okay, let us filter this and we will see which is the most desirable or the most suitable one for this patient. As you can see, when it comes to oral, right, definitely we cannot prefer oral, since the time that it will reach systemic circulation, it's quite time consuming, right. Again, when it comes to this case, this is an emergency case and we want this antidote again fastly administered to the body, right. We need a fast distribution of this into the systemic circulation. So again, we cannot go for option D, that is oral, since the distribution, it will take a lot of time to reach into systemic circulation, that is the antidote, it will take several time to reach into the systemic circulation. So let us take the next one, that is the transdermal. So just think, is transdermal suitable? Definitely not. You cannot go for transdermal. Again, when it comes to the transdermal route of administration, it is for extended release, right. Again, it will take some time to reach into your systemic circulation. Hence, you cannot go for transdermal. Now just we'll filter out the rest of the three options, right? We'll have the intramuscular, then we have the subcutaneous and the intravenous. Again, when it comes to intramuscular, again the drug, we are directly administering the drug into your muscles. Then again it will take few time to reach to the systemic circulation. Hence, you cannot go for intramuscular. Then when it comes to subcutaneous, again the subcutaneous route of administration, you are administering it directly to the skin, and again it is going directly into a set of tissue that is between your skin and the muscles. So again it is time consuming when it comes to systemic circulation. So our final options will be intravenous, right, because you are administering the antidote directly into the systemic circulation. So you can definitely opt for intravenous. So that was a question, right, the most desirable. So again when it comes to an emergency situation, you can go for intravenous since it is directly going into your systemic circulation, right. You are giving the drug directly through the vein, so it will reach your, it will be distributed into your body within seconds. So you can go for option E, that is the correct option, intravenous. Again, if you take an example, like diazepam poisoning, right, you know diazepam, we mainly prescribe these drug for the psychiatric patients, especially for the patients who is having insomnia, right. Most of the psychiatric patients, they will be having the symptoms of insomnia, so they will be prescribed with diazepam. So when it comes to diazepam poisoning cases, again you will opt the antidote, or you will administer the antidote again through intravenously, or they will prefer the IV route commonly. So I just gave you an example for a brief idea. Okay, so that is our question and answer. So we will just see what is it. So we will just simply see a small explanation. So again the correct answer is E. The intravenous route of administration is the most desirable because it results in achievements of therapeutic plasma level of the antidote rapidly. So again we need maximum drug concentration in a plasma, right. So if you are giving a drug intravenously, there will be maximum drug concentration in the plasma. Okay, that is Cmax will be maximum if you opt for intravenous drug. Okay, so again the levels or therapeutic plasma level is nothing but that is the amount of drug that is present in your plasma, okay, after the administration. So again this is the brief explanation. So now we will move on to the next case. Again this case, it is related to distribution. So we will see what it is. So again a 40-year-old male patient, 70 kg. So the weight of this male patient, it is 70 kg, was recently diagnosed with infection involving methicillin resistant S. aureus. Okay. So I hope you know what is this methicillin resistant S. aureus. It is MRSA, right. You know what is MRSA infection, right. This set of microorganisms, these are resistant to the antibiotic known as methicillin. So that is MRSA. So again he received 2000 mg of vancomycin as an IV loading dose. So again we have learned that when it comes to MRSA infection, the drug of choice, right, the drug of choice is vancomycin, right. After vancomycin, the second preferred drug will be metronidazole. So again vancomycin and metronidazole, these are the preferred drug which we commonly prescribe for MRSA or methicillin resistant S. aureus infection. Okay, so as you can see, the patient is administered with 2000 mg of vancomycin as an IV loading dose. So again when you take 2000 mg, that will be 2 gram. Alright, that is when you convert mg into gram, you will get 2000 mg into 2 gram. So again let us go to a question and let us see what is our question. So the peak plasma concentration of vancomycin was reported to be 28.5 mg per liter. So after administering this 2000 mg or 2 gram of vancomycin, we can see the plasma drug concentration. Okay, the peak plasma concentration of vancomycin was found to be 28.5 mg per liter. That is the amount of this vancomycin that is present in 1 liter. Okay. So again we can find it again if you want to find the peak plasma concentration of a particular drug, what we are mainly going to do is that we can take a blood sample from the patient, and again we are not going to take 1 liter, we are not going to withdraw 1 liter, but instead we are going to withdraw a small amount of or small volume of blood from the patient, and again we are going to multiply into 1000. So we will just understand, so we will get the amount of drug that is present in 1 liter. Okay, so again as you can see, the peak plasma level was found to be 28.5 mg per dl. So let us come to a question. What is the apparent volume of distribution? Right. So again this is a direct question. They are asking about apparent volume of distribution, and remember one point that you have to mainly note here is that it is not volume of distribution, but it is apparent volume of distribution. So again as you can see, we have several options. We have again 5 options. That is the first one, that is the correct answer, that is 1 liter per kg. And again we have 10 liter per kg, 7 liter per kg, then we have 70 liter per kg, and finally we have 14 liter per kg. But we will see how we got this answer, right, how we got this 1 liter per kg answer. So here I would like to tell you one important thing that you have to note here is that, so when it comes to apparent volume of distribution, you have to find it in liter per kg. That is, you have to find the answer and divide it by patient's weight. So when it comes to volume of distribution, you will simply get the answer in liters. That is absolutely alright. But when it comes to the apparent volume of distribution, you have to divide it by the patient's weight. That is, here we know the patient's weight is 70 kg. So you have to find the answer in liters and divide it by patient's weight. Okay, so we will see how it is. We will just see how we got the answer. So again the correct answer is option A. So as you all know, the formula to find the volume of distribution, right? Most of us know what is the formula to find the volume of distribution. So the formula is dose divided by plasma drug concentration. That will be a volume of distribution, or the drug that is distributed inside the body. Okay, so as you can see, we know the dose of the drug that is administered, right? We know the loading dose. So that was 2000 mg, and again we have to find it in mg only to find the volume of distribution. So again we are going to write it here, 2000 mg divided by plasma drug concentration. So what is the plasma drug concentration? It was 28.5 mg per liter. Okay, so I hope you have a calculator with you, so you can do the calculation along with me. Alright. So again divide this 2000 mg by 28.5 mg per liter. So you will get the answer as 70.1 liter. So let us round it up and just we will take it as 70. Okay, we will just take it as 70.1 liters. So that is not the answer. Okay, 70 liter is not the answer. We just got the volume of distribution. So directly don't jump into your option D. Don't just directly go and select the option D, that is 70 liter per kg. That is not the answer, because I told you apparent volume of distribution, you have to divide it by the patient's weight. So simply, because the patient is 70 kg, the apparent volume of distribution in liter per kg will be approximately 70 divided by 70 kg. Okay, so simply dividing the answer in liters divided by the patient's body weight, that will be 70.1 liters divided by 70 kg. So your answer will be 1 liter per kg. So again it is very simple answer. The thing is that you have to understand, you have to read the question, and you have to simply apply the equation and just remember the units. Okay, so that is the main difference between the volume of distribution and apparent volume of distribution. So that's how you got the answer as option A, 1 liter per kg.